I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're taking a soul-stirring journey into the depths of Scripture with an amazing author. Her name is Dr. Susan L. Bailey, and she has penned a powerful book. It is called Above All, a special meditation and reflection on Psalm 22. This powerful narrative fuses the Old and New Testaments with vivid imagination to explore Christ's suffering, divine purpose, and ultimate redemption. From the Garden of Gethsemane to the third day after the cross, the doctor invites readers to witness Jesus' inner world and discover how his story still speaks to ours today. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. We ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Dr. Bailey, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Such an honor to have you on the show. What chose you, or I'm sorry, why did you choose to focus so deeply on Psalm 22 for this book?
Well, I realized that it was a very overlooked psalm. Most of us know Psalm 23.
Mhm.
And one night I was having a lot of pain and I was flipping through the television trying to find something on YouTube to get my mind off of it because I was at work and I couldn't take any medication.
Mhm.
So I came across a pastor preaching or teaching on Psalm 22.
Okay, well, that explains it. For the folks at home who might not be familiar with Psalm 22, tell us about it. If you could recite it or paraphrase it a little bit.
Okay, certainly. The entire book is focused on taking verses from that psalm. And while the book begins with Jesus being on the cross, the psalm actually pulls out scenes from the cross. It talks about how Jesus is suffering and calling out to his father, and how his father is not answering him. It talks about how God becomes a midwife, which is my favorite chapter in the book
Mhm.
because we don't talk about that. But in Psalm 22, it actually says that you drew me out of my mother's womb. And
Mhm.
that's Jesus talking to God the Father. There are places throughout the Psalm that I've pulled that explain scenes in the life of Jesus and how when they were mocking him on the cross, and you know how he had told everybody, "My Father and I are one," and then there he is suffering and dying, and God is apparently silent. So that's also in that psalm. And so what I do is the story starts with Jesus up on the cross, and I ask the reader to imagine Jesus on the cross looking down at the Garden of Eden
Mhm.
as he watches Adam and Eve take a bite of the fruit and just put sin and everything in motion,
Yeah.
and how he plans to redeem this world back to the way God intended it to be.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. So your book actually blends scripture and your imagination to tell Jesus's story, right?
Yes, and I give all the scripture references. And if it's something that I'm just imagining that the Bible doesn't really come out and say, I tell the reader that, and I list all of the scripture references. I follow the children, the Hebrew children, as they come out of slavery. I follow them through the desert as they're going to the promised land, and how they receive the commands of God and pretty much get us all into trouble, because before that, God always knew right from wrong, but we didn't have to abide by it. I mean, Abraham did not abide by the law. There was no law.
Mm.
They agreed and decided that they wanted to keep God's law to experience his goodness and his gifts.
Yeah, yeah. And the book is written from Jesus's perspective during his final days, right?
Right. Well, it actually starts with him, yeah, on the cross, but In the book, I go back to take for instance him looking at Adam and Eve's sin, and the father saying that one day this is all going to be redeemed. And then I take one of the chapters in the book is about Mary, how he's on the cross, but he's thinking back to when Mary was chosen to be his mother, and how he watched her behavior and her mannerisms. And I take you through Joseph, and what Jesus was thinking about who Joseph is and what kind of man he was, that God had chosen him to be his father.
Mm.
So I pretty much go through that, going through how they went to Bethlehem, and I take a little bit of liberty and pull out the verses that say that that Jesus gained favor with man. Every story that I've ever seen, they seem to have Mary shamed, and I just didn't pick that up when I read the Bible, that she was shamed. It talks about her becoming pregnant, but she goes away, and then she comes back, and then they leave for Bethlehem. And so in the story that I create is that God took them away, so that
Mm.
people in the village don't really know when the baby's actually born, and they don't come back until they go to Egypt,
Mm.
and he's already, a child. So I do go through different parts of the Bible and add a story around that.
Wonderful. Have you envisioned your book, above all, as a film, perhaps? I think it'd be a beautiful telling of Jesus's life and death and resurrection.
That's interesting that you said that. My brother is not a reader. He spent 26 years in the military as a command sergeant major. He retired, and he would not read the book, but it is on audio, so he listened. And when he called me, he said, "Susan, this should be a film." And I,
Wonderful.
yeah, you're my brother. Thanks.
Well, a lot of people aren't readers out there, and it is a way to reach a broad audience. And I think it is, obviously it's a beautiful story, the story of Jesus. And you've done a great job on embellishing it and filling in some of the details that you've definitely been inspired to write. And I think it'd be a great, great telling of his life and his final days, no doubt. Is this your first book?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And what was it like writing it? Why did you sit down and decide to write a book one day? Tell us a little bit about your inspiration.
No, I didn't. As I said, I was at work, and the pain was so great. And during
Oh,
the
yeah.
time that I was after I heard the sermon, it's almost like the scene of Jesus on the cross and him taking the pain and the
Mm.
sickness into his body just came to life for me, and I saw it, and my pain went away as I began to watch him take on the pain of arthritis, and because it was a hip replacement at that time,
Mm.
and I just saw everything become a story right in front of me, and my pain went away as I realized that he had taken my pain in his body. And I was telling one of my best friends about it, and I wrote it down because I was just watching. It was like watching a movie, and I was writing it down, and I told her
Mm.
about it. And when I finished telling her all the things that I saw and how the pain went away, she said, "You ought to make this into a book." And I said, "No, I just wrote this for me." And but then as I would go back, because even that night in the room, I pulled open my Bible in the car room at the hospital, and I just read the Bible, and I kept going back to that psalm, and I was looking at so many things that about Jesus's life that were in the psalm that I didn't see. So I would write a little bit and write a little bit, and then I felt God telling me, "You need to write this down for other people." She's right.
Mm.
And then I felt when I prayed, I felt him say, three hours. You're a busy physician. You work at night. You need to sleep during the day. 3 hours. If you give me 3 hours, I'll tell you what to write,
Mm.
and it'll be done in a few months. And it was.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're glad you did have that inspiration. We're glad you had that friend who encouraged you to write this book because it is a wonderful book. What do you hope readers take away from it?
The people that have talked to me about it say that it's brought them closer to God, to understand how um, his suffering and God's plan for redemption has made them more powerful and able to step out on faith more, that their faith has grown to do what Jesus said, do even greater things, and to expect that the things that God tells us in the Bible that are his gifts and promises are true. And a lot of them have been encouraged to actually have the faith and take that step and have some of those things materialize in their own lives.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very faith renewing. It's a wonderful connection to the Lord, perfect for this time of year and any time of year. The name of the book is Above All, a special meditation and reflection on Psalm 22. It is a powerful narrative that fuses the Old and New Testaments with vivid imagination to explore Christ's suffering, divine purpose, and ultimate redemption. It is a book you won't want to miss. The links are below this interview. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time on Spotlight.